Dreams came true in a nursing home, all thanks to one young man. I was 16 when my grandpa went into a nursing home. I honestly didn't know how to talk to elderly people, but everyone there wanted to talk to me when I visited Grandpa. Grandpa Frank sat in his recliner by the window with a cup of coffee next to him and a pack of cookies in his lap. He smiled when he saw me. "There he is," he'd say, "my favorite visitor." I wasn't his only visitor. My mom came when she could, but she was working hard and taking care of my younger sister. Grandpa would shake my hand every time, something he's done since I was a little kid, and he'd pull me into a hug. We would sit for a couple of hours, and he would tell me stories about working construction when he was young, about my grandma and him dancing on Friday nights, about stupid decisions that somehow turned into good memories. One afternoon, when we had lapsed into silence, he pointed out a nurse pushing another resident in a wheelchair and asked me, "You know what changes when you get old? People take care of your needs, but nobody asks you what you still dream about, what you still want." He smiled faintly. "You're young, you don't know yet, but don't leave your dreams on the sidelines. You'll regret it later." My grandpa died 2 months later in December. My mom sat at the kitchen table, crying quietly, trying to stay strong for me and my sister. I felt numb more than anything. I couldn't accept that I would never see him again. At the funeral, people told stories about him, how funny he was, how generous, and how stubborn he could be. I got to know the usual things people say at a funeral, the "I'm so sorry for your loss," the "he was a great guy." But something felt hollow about it. All my memories of him, the feelings I had, the entire person, with all his history and his stories, that he was. That just couldn't be captured in a few words. Words were just not enough. A couple weeks later, I found Grandpa's scarf stuffed in my backpack. I had taken it in his last days when it became clear he wouldn't need it anymore. I took it because it smelled like his aftershave. When I saw the scarf and smelled that scent, it was then that Grandpa's words came back to me. "People take care of your needs, but no one asks what you want anymore." That week, I went back to the nursing home. The receptionist looked surprised. "Oh, honey," she said gently, "I'm sorry about your grandpa." "Am I still allowed to visit sometimes?" I asked. Before she could answer, I heard a voice behind me. "You're Frank's grandson." I turned around. It was a small woman with white hair and cloudy blue eyes that I recognized from the lounge. She tended to sit near Grandpa. "I'm June," she said. "You came back." "I didn't know what to do," I said. She smiled a little. "Most people don't." I don't know why, but instead of leaving, I followed her to the lounge. That first day back, I stayed about an hour chatting with June. The next week, I came again. I started noticing things that I hadn't before. People waiting near windows, watching the parking lot, residents who lit up when someone, really anyone, stopped to talk to them. How quiet it sometimes got. Some of the residents couldn't speak, but their eyes were filled with a longing to say something. I realized a lot of them didn't get many visitors. I didn't come in with a plan, I just sat and listened. Grandpa had been right about that being enough. One afternoon, I asked June what she used to do before she lived here. She laughed. "A little bit of everything, but mostly cooking. Big family meals, 40 people squeezed into one tiny house. I loved it." Another day, I sat with Thomas. He barely spoke at first. He sat near the window with paint under his fingernails, even though I never saw him paint. "You an artist?" I asked him. He shrugged. "Used to be." That's when an idea started to form in my mind. I asked Thomas if he still had any paintings. He looked surprised and then suspicious. "Why?" "I just want to see them." He let me follow him to his room. Canvases on wooden frames were stacked against the wall, hidden behind a chair. Some were wrapped in old sheets. Landscapes, portraits, scenes with vivid colors that didn't look like the work of someone who had given up. "These are amazing," I told him, and I meant it too. They were incredible. He just shrugged, but I thought his eyes looked a little livelier. I couldn't stop thinking about Grandpa's words, about your dreams, your wants, that people stopped asking about. So I asked, "If you could do one thing with your art now, what would it be?" He laughed a little, like it was ridiculous. "Show them somewhere," but that's not happening. "Why not?" "Who's gonna care?" I didn't have an answer, but the question wouldn't leave me alone. So I started asking around. I emailed my art teacher. I bought a coffee at a place where I'd noticed a lot of art on the walls, and I talked to the cafe owner about the possibility of hosting an art show. He was enthusiastic about it, and I took his number so we could arrange a date and time. I made flyers on my laptop to advertise it. The day before the show, I got a bunch of my friends to come to the home with me to help me carefully carry the artwork to my mom's minivan, and then to help me unload the pieces and hang them at the coffee shop. The evening of the show, I was terrified that hardly anyone would come. But they did. My art teacher was there with a couple other teachers. Neighbors were there. People who had just seen the flyers who I didn't know at all. The family members of other residents at the nursing home. The staff at the home had brought other residents who wanted to be there but didn't have family available that day to help take them. The little coffee shop was filled up, the walls lined with Thomas's paintings. When he walked in with his daughter and saw the crowd, he froze. "They're all here for me?" he asked me. "For you and your paintings," I confirmed. He stood there for a long time, eyes tearing up, while strangers came by to compliment his work. He sold 4 paintings that night, even though we hadn't put prices on anything. People just came up, expressed how much they loved a particular canvas or how much it spoke to them, and asked if a certain amount would be enough. And the local newspaper showed up, taking pictures and asking questions about how it all started. I was really nervous being interviewed, but I answered all the woman's questions. Thomas looked taller that night, prouder, and I saw him speaking more than I had ever seen him talk at the home. The headline that came out in the local paper read, "Teen Bringing Dreams to Life at Local Care Home," and I wished the attention had been more on Thomas and his art. A couple weeks later, I was back at the home, and June was telling me about her Sunday dinners again. Every week she would cook up a storm on Sunday, practically a Thanksgiving dinner. A roast or turkey or chicken, mashed potatoes, veggies, rolls, stuffing. It made me hungry just listening to her talk about it. "I'd give anything to cook my family one more big meal," she sighed. My eyes lit up. "Then let's do it," I said. She laughed at first, but I talked to the staff, and they helped us set it up in the care home kitchen. Her daughter and grandchildren came. I chopped vegetables while June directed everything like a general. "More garlic," she directed, handing me another bulb. The kitchen was busy, filled with laughter and noise. It felt alive in a way that building usually didn't. And when the food was finally on the tables, her family turned to me. "You're sitting with us," her daughter said firmly. June reached for my hand. "You helped make this happen, so you're family today." That night, June fed the entire nursing home, the residents and staff, and there were still leftovers. The meal lasted a long time. Stories bounced around the tables. I forgot to be self-conscious. At one point, I caught June watching everyone with tears in her eyes and a smile that looked peaceful. On the walk home that night, I realized how important dreams were. It made me think about my own dreams. And that's when it struck me. It was a dream of my own to help elderly people's dreams come true. So I kept going back. Not every story was big enough for a newspaper piece. Some dreams were small. Recording a message for a grandchild, helping someone walk along the beach on the first warm day of spring, finding a song on YouTube on my phone that reminded someone of home. One day I sat down near Grandpa's old spot near the window. A new resident was there, staring outside, just the way Grandpa used to. "You new here?" I asked. He nodded. I smiled. "I'm Simon. I come here a lot." He looked up. "You have a grandparent that lives here?" "No, not anymore. But people I care about do." He smiled at me and held out his hand. "I'm Victor. Nice to meet you." We sat and talked for 2 hours that day, and I learned that his dream was to take one more ride on a sailboat. So that's something I'm currently working on. That, and my school now has a volunteer program working with care homes across the city. Now, when I walk through those doors, it feels a little less like a place where life slows down, and more like a place where forgotten dreams were waiting to come true. Every time I can make a dream happen, I feel lucky just to get to see it. If you enjoyed this reading, please hit like and subscribe so you don't miss future stories. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. This has been Tales by Rachel, where we breathe life into every story.